When you're talking to SME, small, medium enterprise, small business owners about their financial goals and aspirations, it's quite likely that you'll discover through that discussion that there could be an over-reliance on the business as their source of financial security, the main way in which they're going to achieve their aspired to financial goals once you establish what they are and quantify them in the future. That's all well and good and utterly understandable. The business becomes, for many, an all-consuming thing. You're concentrated on it. You may well, probably do, even love it when you stand back and think about it. But to over-rely on it brings with it risk. And the role of the financial planner is to help in a sensitive way the owners of those businesses appreciate the risk that they are taking when they are over-relying on a SME and for their future financial security. In the investment world, we have become well aware recently of the risks of illiquidity, inability to sell a small business, and the impact that can have, detrimental impact that can have on one's financial plan. So the role of the financial planner, I believe, a really important role, is to be at the centre of that discussion about what you plan for your future, and then to discover to what extent, in a sensitive, non-confrontational way, that the individual who owns the business is relying on their business. Once you discover that, and you probably will discover there is an over-reliance, to introduce the principle of diversification and the importance of diversification and the sense in that, so that we don't over-rely on the business without implying in any way that the business will never be something that you can rely on to achieve your financial goal. Just introduce some diversification, ensuring that some of the profit that hopefully is being made can be really diverted into other assets to ensure that over-reliance isn't taking place. Pensions, ISAs, personal investments, obviously those with a greater tax attractiveness will maximise the use of the available funds. And also to make it clear to the owner that by saving up in this way, it won't necessarily, probably won't actually be detrimental to the purchase price that they can get for their business, because the buyer of the business will be looking at the future of the business, and in that future the money that is being diverted into your personal savings, of course, won't be. It will be wholly available to the business. And as well as that, and it's a subject I've talked about before, it's really important to bear in mind what catastrophe would do to that financial plan, even with diversification into other investment asset classes. Catastrophe in the shape of critical illness, serious illness, or death. And to build that into the financial plan to ensure that that is taken into account when goal setting and assessing the gap that would occur should that catastrophe take place. I think it's a really important role of the financial planner to bring that up and to ensure that consideration is at least given to it. Think of the responsibility that you have and think of how you will feel as a financial planner if at some point in the future, God forbid, death, serious illness occurs and you are the one that didn't have that conversation with your client. You've done a great job for them on pensions, for personal savings even, because you've introduced that diversification idea, but you haven't covered the catastrophe risk, and that catastrophe happens. And by definition, it tends to happen quite quickly without the ability to plan for that in good time. So my message here is very much to build in, as a matter of course, catastrophe risk assessment into your discussions with SME owners. It's a really, really important part of the financial plan. And of course, ahead of that, to ensure that you are at the centre of determining what their financial goals are, obviously, and to what extent they are, to uncover to what extent they are relying and then possibly over-relying on their business as their means of future financial security. So doing those two things, discovery of the goals, discovery of over-reliance, and then the third thing of building in diversification, and the fourth, incorporating catastrophe risk cover, absolutely critical part of the financial planning process.